Lovely to be back in this space again. I'm just going to wait a couple of moments for some people to jump on live. Let me know that you're here. I'm really looking forward to sharing my story with you, lovely ladies and gents, whoever's watching. You know, I really truly believe that in my heart of hearts that whoever's watching this is meant to hear some of or all of what I've got to say. And my intention for this live training isn't to talk about me, even though it kind of sounds like I'm talking about me. My intention is to create awareness around a situation which I believe is very common, so that potentially you can see some steps that you could take to help yourself navigate through that. Now, this is a really big topic. It's so huge. And tonight, I'm deliberately going to keep it to about 30 minutes. And here's what I'm going to cover. Okay, so the topic is from burnout, brink to epiphany breakthroughs. Now, this is very much mirroring my personal story. I've had to completely downregulate everything across the past almost 4 months. It was supposed to be 3 months. This live training, apologies, and thank you so much for your patience, everybody. This live training was supposed to be on the 6th of July, and then the night before I had a massive fever, which continued for 3 to 4 days. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of all of that, but here I am, about 95 to 98% recovered, probably 95% recovered. And yeah, I'm bringing you the live training that I thought I was going to be bringing a month ago here tonight. So here we are, I'm back, and it's so lovely to be back in this space. So without any further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the breakdown of what I'm going to cover, so that if you feel like you need to go, you know what I'm going to cover, so you can come back and watch the recording if that works for you. I know it's kind of prime time, 6 p.m. And then I'm going to get into it. And what I really love is some interaction. You know, if you feel that this resonates, or if you'd like to tell a story, this is an open chat. And this is a great opportunity to do so, because we're not alone. You know, just because I'm a naturopath, you know, that doesn't put me up on a pedestal. I'm human, and I can suffer from, you know, burnout, brink. You know, luckily I was able to observe and see and put in place, and I'm going to go through what I did so that you can see and potentially have awareness, and it might be something that you've actually done yourself already. And, you know, as I mentioned a moment ago, my whole intention is to bring awareness and permission. All right? Alrighty. So it feels lovely after almost 4 months. And just saying, you know, a couple of new people have come in and haven't seen me do a live training because it's been 4 months. You know, I literally had to take a step back from social media for very good reason, which I'll go through. So this isn't a scientific training, ladies and gents. This is a simple story of what happened. I'm just really wearing my heart on my sleeve. I'm going to be truthful. I'm not going to go into all the details because some of it's private, but I'm going to be very truthful. And yeah, it's just really so that you can see and potentially see and gain awareness around yourself if this applies to you. So let me know who's here. I can't see any comments as yet. Let me just refresh the screen and then we'll get into it. First of all, I'm going to explain what I'm going to cover as I promised. Oh, beautiful. We've got lots of comments. Oh, mainly Michelle, my VA, beautiful VA, telling everyone that I'm on. And yes, fantastic, Jennifer. Yes, I'm back. Kath, it's lovely to see you. Pardon me, I've just had dinner. And Shell is yeah, tagging you. So if she's tagging you, it's because you've given an indication that you wanted to watch this live training. Just so you've got the heads up that, hey, it's on. So come on in. Alrighty, so there's going to be several parts. Part one, I'm going to talk about the moment everything changed. Okay, because that moment is really important to bear witness to. Part two, I'm going to honor my own. This is about honoring my own advice and emulating what I believe is possible in some way or form for everybody, as long as you've actually witnessed the downward spiral so that you can actually put something into place. Okay. Part three is the goo. I'm going to talk about the goo. Okay. I know that some of my beautiful clients know about the goo because I've continued to treat my beautiful clients across this time, of course. I just had to close the program and not take on anyone new. Part four is going to be about how I followed the breadcrumbs, right? One of my spiritual teachers from a long time ago taught me this, and it took me a long time, and it was almost like an epiphany. I just trusted that because I had nowhere else to go in my mind. Part five is hallelujah, I'm back. No, I'm not. I got sick. More clearing. And then I'm going to wrap it up with the main 3 steps that I learned that I would love you to write down and have it somewhere handy in a diary, something to ponder for in case you need to follow these 3 steps. And then I'm going to close, okay? Alrighty, let's get into it. I have some notes here to keep me on track to honor the time. Hey Susie, thanks for watching, Susie. I'm so glad that you're here. Yeah, let me know if you're here. Alrighty. Okay. So part one, the moment that changed everything. It was the 10th of April. It was roughly sunrise, I don't know, maybe 6 a.m. that time. And I was planting a lemon tree, as you do at that time of the day. Like, like who does that? Anyway, I was doing that. I was planting a lemon tree, talk about a morning. It was like a kaleidoscope of information just going through my mind. And it was like a contradiction between what my body wanted to do and what my brain was telling me to do. And my clients, who some of them are here tonight, my beautiful clients, know what I mean, because this is what I teach. I teach to listen to the body. The heart consciousness is top dog. It comes over your brain, right? This is what I teach, for the majority of the time. If we're able to listen to our body, that is the better order, even though as a society, and certainly as we live in this amazing matrix world, we tend to follow the brain first, okay? And that can be a slippery slope into spiral. Anyway, it was a big morning, it was around 6 a.m. I wasn't looking for a revelation. I was simply gardening. And then as I stood there, I knew something wasn't right. There was a complete mismatch between what my body wanted to do and what my brain was telling me to do. It was like opposite polar ends, right? So what happened with my nervous system is I started to go into overwhelm. I had anxiety. I had some palpitations. It was almost like everything was closing down in around me. I could have been in quicksand. I could have been in a pit where the sand is coming down. It was thick and it was strong, and it was really super freaking interesting because it's only really, I think maybe 3 months prior to that I had a guest speaker, the beautiful Michelle Smith. Michelle, if you could tag Michelle Smith, I'd really appreciate that. And Michelle is actually a burnout specialist, and I invited her on as a guest speaker. And it was during this moment when I was planting the lemon tree that I realized that I wasn't being honest to myself listening to her story when I had actually connected the dots and realized that some of those symptoms I was already experiencing back then. Okay. So this is an example of where back then, I think it was 2 or 3 months prior, I hadn't fully listened. I think on some level I was aware, but I hadn't fully listened. So I did what we do in this society. This amazing matrix world wouldn't be here if we weren't, this is what it is. And I soldiered on. I kept going. I did like what the Codral Cold flu and flu ads tell you to do in the 80s. Soldier on. So that's what I did, And what a mismatch to what I'm teaching. Like, how incongruent. So anyway, I stood there and it was just a massive epiphany, a massive awakening. My nervous system wasn't happy. I was spiraling. And it was kind of like, I realized in that moment that as a naturopath, I spend a lot of my time and a lot of my teachings, I'm speaking to my clients, asking them to listen to their bodies. That morning, it was my turn. Yeah. As I said, I'm not going to go into all the details because it's my story and we all have our own stories. And this is actually about bringing awareness for you. This is an offering of awareness for you. Okay, so I'd love you to share, jump in at any time if you've had this in the past or even more recently, at some point in time, especially if you have a thyroid condition, but not only if you've had a thyroid condition. But this led me on a journey. But let me just step back first. So that was the awareness. Okay, so part two, we're up to part two. So I quickly, as a third observer, as the observer of my own life, I realized that if I did not listen to my body, I was not being congruent to what I teach. I was not being authentic to how I live, how I thought I was living, and what I teach. Hey, Kath, lovely to see you here. Thanks for coming in. Hey, Deb. Oh, thanks, Deb, for that beautiful heart. Um, yeah, so I thought I've got to honor my own advice, and right then everything was closing in. And I've been there before once. This felt a little bit more powerful. So what I did, it was really super interesting because it was almost like I made the decision. I had to make the decision. Right. I think in my words at the time, I can't quite recall, but it was something along the lines of, it wasn't I've got to close my business. That was never on the agenda. It was along the lines of I have to down regulate to allow space. I need space. It was about space actually, which is actually perfect. When you think about it, if you need to be in your body and if you need to listen to the messages that come through your body from your higher self or whatever you believe, from God, from your human self, whatever you believe, it's not about that. But if you're not still, if you haven't created the space, you're not going to get the message. You may get a little bit of the message. You're not going to get the full message. You're not going to get the full learning, the full lesson that is at that point in time being unveiled to you as a human walking on this amazing planet of ours in this lifetime together. Okay? So all of this is just going in my mind. And I thought, right, don't panic. Just do it. I could have been, excuse my language, scared, you know. Yeah, I could have panicked, Of course, there's the financial aspect, there's a commitment to this group, to you amazing people. Thanks to those of you who've stuck around and being very patient. It's the commitment to my clients. Like at that point in time, I couldn't see how it was all going to unfold. I just knew that I had to honor myself, because if I didn't honor myself, I'm no good to anybody. I'm unable to work at my highest level for people, for clients, if I do not honor myself. So that had to happen. All right. It was just like a given. Hey, Kate. I'm so glad you're here, Kate. Oh, yes, this pattern resonates very strongly with me. I'm so glad. I think it resonates with a lot of people. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Thanks, Kate, for your comment. So, um, within 4 hours, I did it. I made a decision. I'm not doing any more live trainings. Shell's testament to this. She'd already scheduled all these live trainings and all these posts, and Shell is so professional. She is such an amazing part of my team. She just, I mean, goodness knows, she must have been like, what's going on with her? But she just took it in a stride and basically took it on board and listened to the instructions and just unscheduled everything, started to down-regulate everything. I made a promise to her. I said, I promise you that everything will be okay, but this is what needs to happen now. Something along those lines. I can't remember the exact quote. So I closed enrollments, postponed trainings, removed the pressure. Of course, there was the container of my existing clients. That was a commitment that I was honoring, but I was removing all the other pressure, right? Um, for example, this beautiful free space, I mean, I love this space, but at that point in time, I couldn't take on anything more. I had actually reached capacity. I think I was over and beyond my capacity for a little while, if I'm completely honest. And it was showing up in small ways, but this was the big kind of like smack in the face awareness day when I was planning the lemon tree. Oh, Shell's sweating and laughing at the same time there. Yeah, I can understand that too. Um, yeah, it was that moment when I realized that my nervous system needed space, it needed rest, and it needed to recalibrate. I didn't need another supplement. I wasn't taking a lot at the time, but I didn't need another supplement then. It wasn't on my thing. It wasn't like, oh, I need kava for my anxiety, or oh, I need this for that. That wasn't going through my mind. I didn't need a productivity strategy. I didn't need advice from a business coach. I hadn't even spoken. I do have a business coach at the moment. I hadn't even spoken to a business coach. What I needed, without a doubt, was space. I needed space. Space to be. Space to allow myself to unravel. Space to descend into the goo. Now, some of my clients that are here tonight, they know about the goo because I've already spoken to them and shared a lot of my awarenesses across this time in our client trainings. So they are aware of the goo. But I wanted to bring it to this space so that you can understand what I mean by it. So we're up to part 3 now, okay? Alrighty. So part 2, within 4 hours, I downregulated everything. And, then there was kind of moments across the next couple of weeks to properly, close the container, etc., etc. Okay. Part 3 is a goo. Okay, so this is not mine. I heard this and it resonated so strongly. And at the time, I didn't know why it resonated, but I held on to the quote or the metaphor. So I'm going to share it with you now. Before a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it literally dissolves back to its primordial state, which is goo. Okay? It goes to goo and it resembles nothing of what it once was. I was in the goo. And then from the goo emerges a butterfly. So I don't know whether I'm a butterfly yet. I'm getting there. But I was certainly in the goo. And I have to say, I'm definitely on the other side of the goo now. But I was descending into the goo. It felt like quicksand. Some of my clients understand. Like, give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment if you know what I'm talking about. But I was literally in that goo. Okay, I didn't know which way. I kind of had lost perspective because there was too much going on. And I had to acknowledge that. And The thing that I'm most proud of out of all of this, well, there's two things I'm proud of. One is that I'm talking to everybody here tonight about this situation. Okay. There was an aspect of self in the past where I would have too much of an ego to actually completely talk about this. I'm just going to be completely honest. I'd be like, no, hang on, I'm the naturopath. Yeah, whatever. That's a title. I'm a person who actually, something happened which I believe is of value to so many other people. Okay? So that's why I feel really drawn to sharing this. And from the goo, I believe, is a new or a different version of me as a person. And this is not just me. We are all evolving, whether you acknowledge it or are aware of it and at what level of awareness. We are all evolving. You cannot stop it if you tried. We are all evolving. The difference is that some people are acutely aware of those moments, and other people kind of just allow it to go along with their life. Okay, it doesn't mean there's not people. Some people evolve and other people don't. That's a load of BS. We all evolve. It's just with what level of awareness you have. And I actually, out of this, I'm just going to share this now. It's probably down the track, but out of all this, I feel that the more you listen in and tune into what's actually going on in your body, the better equipped you are to receive the lessons along your journey. And in some way or form, it just allows you to be that little bit more authentic. Okay. Now, authenticity in alignment, and we all have an ego. We all need an ego. There's nothing wrong with an ego. An ego keeps you safe. It keeps you secure. It's almost like the mask. Okay. It can also run your life. So in this level of awareness, what I found really interesting while I was in the goo is most days, not to begin with, it was probably after about maybe 6 to 8 weeks, maybe halfway, maybe 2 months. I found that most days, without even orchestrating it, I was outside my bubble looking at my life. And that is still happening. It's really bizarre. It's quite surreal. I'm not trying to do it. The other thing is my dreams have all come back online just since I allowed myself to just completely unravel. It must have been a nervous system thing. These are just physical things. I'm jumping ahead. I shouldn't jump ahead. I'll get to those parts. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happened in my body. Okay. But before that, I want to just talk a little bit more about the goo. Okay. So in the goo, to honor the goo in its full capacity, you can't have rules. You can't have expectations. There's definitely no performance. There's no proving. In the goo, it's just allowing. You can't think, in my opinion anyway, you can't think your way out of the goo if you allow the goo to occur. Now, I had to kind of put a time limit, right? It was kind of odd because I couldn't completely let everything go. In part two, just going back to part two, I created the framework. I said, okay, I need to do this, 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 and this to create the space. And I said, Shell knows, 3 to 4 months. Shell went and worked with two of my beautiful naturopathic colleagues. Everything worked into place because I believe everything worked out very well because I allowed. I truly do believe that. If we get stressed and we try to think our way out of it, I think what happens is we actually block that element of something more expansive to help us. We don't need to do it alone. 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 We don't need to do it al We can have guidance from many different areas. It can come from a phone call, it can come from a prayer, it can come from a dream. If we tune in closely and we allow ourselves to be in the goo and to just relinquish all areas of control on aspects of self, we're able to seriously hear. So that's my message. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I'd love some questions. And one of the things I'm pretty sure will come up in some way or form is you can't just go into goo. Who's going to pay the bills? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? You know, who's going to look after the kids? Okay. So this is what I'm going to say about that. Create a container to allow as much space as possible. And then when you've created that space and that container, I had to put a timeline because, you know, I have commitments. I have bigger commitments. I have matrix life commitments, okay, as well. We all do. It's just kind of how our system goes. So I had to put a time limit, which felt odd, but I had to put a time limit. So I put 3 to 4 months, and then I thought it was going to be 3 months, and then I got sick. So more about that later. But just to honor the goo, the things that I stopped my training. Many of my clients and my past clients know that I had a very strict exercise regime. I would do a lot of triathlons. I did a half Ironman a couple of years ago. I was 3 weeks out from another half Ironman, which in hindsight was ridiculous. Like, why did I sign up to that? Like, honestly, in hindsight, like, what was I trying to prove? You know, I mean, I didn't think at the time, I didn't think I was trying to prove anything, but clearly on some level I was, because it wasn't resonating with my body. It wasn't honoring my body. It was exhausting my body, let alone my poor little thyroid. Okay. So I cancelled that. I cancelled my triathlon coach. And then I knew that I had to come off social media, love social media, but also know that there needs to be a strong boundary around it because, and I respect social media because in many ways that's how I found, and that's how many of my clients, I should say, found me through this offering, this free group offering. Having said that, I mean, I'm just going to call it out. Facebook makes you work. If you want to be seen on Facebook, it makes you work really hard. Now, I'm not bagging Facebook. I'm just saying what I've observed and what I've learned. And, I don't have the capacity for that. So I won't divulge everything tonight, but there's going to be a different way in which I'm going to be serving this free space. Okay, so that's not about tonight. Tonight's about goo and burnout and epiphany breakthroughs. Okay, so I'll talk about that later. Okay, but we're just going to be doing things a little bit differently. That's all. Alrighty, so once you've created the container to be in the goo, allow it. Now, that also means, now you might be thinking, oh, she's going to say that she had the crunchy salads and the beautiful elixir and the herbal medicine and kept all the health in check to come out of the burnout. No, that's actually not what happened at all. It's not what happened at all. I didn't do that. I actually allowed whatever I wanted to do occur. I just knew that if I had to go lower into the goo, I wanted to allow it. If I needed to expand out into the goo, I needed to allow it. Okay? So I really did truly allow the goo. A couple of times I fought it a little bit, but then I thought, no, just allow, see what comes through. And I didn't know what was going to come through. I had no idea, you know? But something amazing did. And I'm going to go into the next part now, part 4, which is what I call following the breadcrumbs. So we're up to part 4, following the breadcrumbs. Now I'm just going to we are at the half-hour mark, but I'm just going to continue on because I haven't finished what I'd love to share tonight. Um, so yeah, we're up to part 4, following the breadcrumbs. So I just want to say first, um, I've had a lot of mentors over the many years, and one of my beautiful mentors and coaches from a couple of years ago, she was a spiritual teacher actually, more so than a business coach, and I was drawn to her, probably because that was a missing piece in the way I practiced. So I was very much drawn to her and her work. And one of the things that stood out, and one of the things that she taught me back then, or tried to teach me, which I didn't get back then, was to follow the breadcrumbs. Okay, you know, when you have a little chook and you just follow the breadcrumbs or a bird or whatever, follow the breadcrumbs without any understanding of what the next breadcrumb is going to be, or what the next stepping stone is going to be, or what it's going to show, and to simply trust and be in your fullest capacity, mind, body, spirit, soul, in your body, to follow the next step. Okay, not mind. It takes control. Okay, there's an oxymoron, isn't there? It takes control to be out of the mind. Mind's the control center. Anyway, so we've got to get out of the mind into the heart consciousness, and just feel what's next. Now, I didn't know what was coming next. All I knew is that I needed to ground. This is what came up for me. Get your hands in the dirt. For days, I had my hands in the dirt. Now, I am from, I don't know, 6 generations of primary production farming. So maybe there's an element there, but I just knew that I needed to get my hands in the dirt. And I'd always wanted to create a permaculture patch, and I hadn't yet done it. I've moved up here with this space and capacity to do so for several years, and I hadn't done it. The other thing is, I knew I had to be with animals. So you can kind of see the picture. I just need to frickin' ground. Like, I need to get my hands in the dirt. I need to grow some veggies, get some animals. So what did I do? Okay, I created a permaculture patch, or, it's clearly evolving, but I will show. I'll take some pictures over the next coming days and pop it in the group so you can see what I've done. So we've really been enjoying some fresh vegetables. I feel really blessed that my husband has a skill set that is highly helpful in this realm, because he can create fences and, so I had help. Clearly I didn't do it on my own, but I did all the digging and planting and growing. I did all of that. So that was amazing. So you can imagine, you're in the goo, you don't know what's going on. All I know is I've got a 3-month container to be in the goo and figure it out and be there for all of my clients, but just everything else was closed during that time, pretty much. I think I had a few openings, but everything else was closed. And then I thought, okay, I really wanted to get some chooks, because you need chooks to be a part of the permaculture. So if you know anything about permaculture, type it here if you know something about permaculture. Let me know. I'd love to know. So if you know anything about permaculture, it's systems, working with systems, so that ideally you're not using any sprays or any like Monsanto crap and all that type of stuff, and you're basically just enriching the soil through your practices and through the systems. It can get quite complex. Mine is within like a patch. It's like a 60 square meter patch. And I knew I needed chooks because I don't have a tractor. I don't have a digger. And I sure can't just chip all day. So I needed chooks to actually help me do the work. So I got 5 chooks, and I became very connected with these chooks. To this day, I know which chook lays which egg. I know who's laid what and when, because I can tell from the colour of the eggs from observing, because I was out there every day in the goo in the middle of winter observing my beautiful new chickens, which I named. So who wants to know the names? Do you want to know the names of my chooks? Let me know if you want to know the names, otherwise I won't bore you. Anyway, so that was fun. And now all 5 chooks are laying, and I know who's laid what egg, and it's amazing. We've got the permaculture patch. It's a very simplistic, right? Kind of getting back to nature, getting back to primal living. I almost felt like I was living a life maybe 200 years ago. And it's really interesting. One synchronicity that I really want to share. The day that I was supposed to open my business again was also the day a few other things happened. And when I worked it out, it was only through hindsight that I thought, oh my goodness, it's exactly 12 months ago that I landed in Peru and had my big journey there in Peru for 1 month. So I feel that that's a really timely synchronicity. Yeah, and I never used to look at synchronicities, but again, the spiritual teacher that I told you about a moment ago, she taught me all of that. So I listen and I tune in now to hear what's going on. Tell us the chooks' names. Yeah, with pleasure, Kath. Okay, so we've got Barbara. She was the first layer. Then we've got Apricot. She was the second layer. Then we've got Popcorn. She was the third layer. Then we've got Hopper, the fourth layer. And then the last one is Tucker Hot Wings, which I should have really called Rose because she's so sweet. She's got a little... She's not a Tucker Hot Wings. She's a sweet little chirpy little bird that's very affectionate. She's more like a rose. But anyway, she's Tucker Hot Wings. So yeah, they're the chooks' names. So there you go. And the cats and the Indy, the dog, and 2 cats, Shelby and Cora, they all get on. Indy's more so with the chooks than the cats with the chooks. But anyway, they're all getting on. So it's a big, happy animal kingdom here at Madawi at the moment. Alrighty. Right, let me just get back on track for a sec to honour the time that we're in. So the other thing that happened, I was following the breadcrumbs, and it's really, when you're doing this, it's really important to follow what lights you up. Okay, remember what I said, it's not about thinking your way out of it. You're in the goo. You need to stay in the goo. But you follow what lights you up. What gives you that, oh, that's exciting, gives you that little boost or a little flutter or a little bit of a smile, something, whatever. That's an example of a breadcrumb that needs to be followed. All right, because you're getting guidance. And, I was very open. I was in conversation to the universe, God, source, the outer realms, I'm not a spiritual teacher by any means, but I'm definitely connected, and I've tried over the last few years to really harness that connection. When I say harness, to really acknowledge that connection and allow and trust. So I followed the breadcrumbs, and it was really interesting. For no other reason, I turned on the computer. I hadn't turned on the computer except for working with my clients. I hadn't turned on the computer. And something came up, and it led me to this, and it led me to this, and it led me to that. And then it was like, oh my goodness, I need to do that. Now, I had not planned to do this. So I applied in a uni degree, right? Master's in Advanced Naturopathic Medicine. And I'd never seen it before. It was never in the forefront of my mind. It was never anything, I never thought that that was anything that I would do. I certainly didn't think that I'd go back into any level of formal education ever. If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have gone, no, I'm not doing that. I've already got my qualification, but for whatever reason, this really lit me up, and it urged me to write an email to the head teacher to find out more. Because what really gave me the spark is within this curriculum was a series of research projects, 2 major ones. And what I really wanted to learn was, are these preset research projects, or can I choose my own topic? You could probably guess what the answer was. I got to choose my own top. Well, I will get. I'm not doing that at the moment. I've only just started, but I will get to choose my own topic because I have some theories that I really love to explore in the space of nervous system recalibration, and autoimmunity with specific focus on thyroid. Just because of what I've observed over the last 4 years working in this space. And obviously that is kind of linear, so that's going to balloon out in different areas. But for me to be able to actually do this has just been a hunch for a while now, but for me to actually be able to do this, I need some structure. I need a container. I need some guidance. I need some support. I need a teacher. So the reason why it hasn't happened is because it probably wouldn't happen, because how can you do something like that on your own if you don't have an above peer to guide you? That's why we have coaches. That's why we have teachers. That's why we have people that have kind of stepped in that realm before to help you. So yeah, so that became very exciting. So I applied, I got accepted, I got the whole government thing that helps with the expense of extra study, and I started literally on the 6th, but I didn't because I got sick. Anyway, but I enrolled, and since then I've worked out that I can actually do it in twice the amount of time to take the pressure off. So I'm really super excited about that. I've literally just done my first assignment, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I can't wait to share elements of that because it's very relevant to thyroid. It's not on the thyroid topic, it's actually on holism and vitalism and naturopathic global advancements, and I focused on research, and it was really, really interesting. And interesting to see what's come up in the evidence as well, because I hadn't dipped in the evidence in this capacity for a while, because it was like a full on, I know there's about 30 or 40 papers to read to write this essay. So it was amazing. It was really, really good, and it really lit me up, and it kind of reminded me that I'm not at the end. There's so much more to learn, and having a structured container around that is going to provide me with access to that learning. Because we don't just get there and stop, right? Otherwise, what's the point? We evolve. So if we're here to evolve, we then need to expand in our learnings, in our understandings, and in our offerings and all things. Kate's saying, yes! I'm very excited. So watch this space, because when I get to do this research project, I'm most likely going to be asking people to come in to be a part of the research project, right? I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm a little way off. I think the head teacher, she emailed me back. She said, I love your excitement. She said, but you're about 18 months off doing the first one of these. So first things first, just do the first subject, you know. So it was all good. So yeah, anyway, that will be really, really good. Alrighty, so I wanted to share that. And that just come from just trusting my gut instinct, following the breadcrumbs, and being like, if I didn't allow myself to go into the goo, I most likely would not have gotten that level of awareness and that epiphany, because I would have been too busy in my business, right? Who else resonates with being too busy to be? My clients get this. We're human beings. We're not human doings. Oh, hi, human doing. How are you? We're human beings. We're here to be first. You second. Alrighty. Yay, Peter. Woo! Can't wait to share it with you, Peter. Yeah, so that's very exciting. And I'm halfway through. I've got last week I needed a little break from that, so I've got 2 weeks to do this next essay, which I'll be fine. It's a fun topic. And then the next semester I'll take off. So I'm going to go on off. So that's how I'm going to work it. So I'm very happy about that. And yeah, you know, it's all about honoring what is lighting you up. And for me, it's the curiosity to go back and see what's coming up in the evidence, I'm certainly going to be looking at endocrine. I think that it's some really deep dive subjects, which are one is gastrointestinal, which I'm definitely going to do because that's kind of my jam. It links in so well with endocrine system. And the other one is I'm not sure. It's going to be there's microbiome, which is an amazing world on its own. But yeah, anyway, enough about that. I'm not going to go into detail. Let me just carry on. I promise, Shell, this will be half an hour live training. Okay. So this is about creating research to contribute to what I believe I'm here to do in some way or form on this planet. Okay, so to help clients reach deeper levels to understand their own capacity. All right, so I'm now in that space of learning again, which I'm super excited about. So the excitement came first, the opportunity followed. So it's really important if you're in this space to don't think your way to it, allow the excitement to come and then follow through. Okay, it's just a very key order of things. If you're just trying to think your way through and there's no excitement, it's not the right path. That's what I've learned. Okay, so I really want you to learn to get that. All right, part 5. I promise we'll wrap up soon. Okay, then I got sick. So here I am. Yes, breakthrough. Enrolled in uni, come back into my business, come back in the free space. As you know, I had to reschedule twice. This live training tonight, I had to reschedule twice because I got sick. I had a temperature for 3-4 days. I had some sort of freaking virus. Viruses are here to help upgrade our tissues. They actually have a role. But I actually believe that my body needed to clear. When I thought about it, I had not properly gotten sick. What I mean, I had not had a full-on lung episode since February 2020, which Shell reminded me when I was telling her. She said, that was the beginning of COVID, Megan. I'm like, yes, it was. Anyway, I have not had an episode. I don't know. I may have had COVID. I don't know. It was before they had the testing, and then I didn't bother getting tested. So, there was no point because I'd recovered. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I never will know. I asked the doctors. I said, test me. They went, no, it's not even our community. What are you talking about? It's in China. That was hilarious. And then I think 2 months later, it was like, mandatory testing. It's like, but I asked and you said no. So that was it. Anyway, let's stay on track. All right, so just as everything was restarting, one day the masters, one day returning, like day 1 opening, I should say, like day 1, not one day. Then I got sick. And it was almost like I thought, okay, I'm just going to listen. So, this is really important. An old aspect of self would have pushed through. That's true. But I didn't. I thought, no, this is the truth. I'm sick. There's something that I haven't learned. There's something that needs to clear. Now, because of time, I'm not going to go into the full month of my sickness. But what I will say is I had the most interesting and vivid dreams on a nightly basis for probably about 2 weeks straight when I was at my worst, which I found extremely interesting. And it was only after I allowed my nervous system to unravel again and just allow it to be again. I didn't have a choice, really. I was really unwell for 4 days, high temperatures, fevers. I let it run. Yeah, so that was that. Okay, part 6. I'm just going to jump forward here. Here are the 3 things that I'd like you to write down. The 3 things that I learned. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed, or if you feel that some aspect of what I've said this evening resonates, I'd really love you to write these down. Or if you feel that you're at risk of something along the lines of what I've experienced may happen, or it might be that it's actually happening, I'd like you to write these down. 1, bear witness. Bear witness to what's happening. It can really be difficult when you're in it. When you're in the bubble, it can be very difficult to bear witness to what's happening. But if you write down some key notes and you've got it somewhere prominent, there's going to be an inkling that will hopefully remind you to bear witness. So step back and notice. Don't force, don't challenge it, don't argue with it. Allow it. It's really important to allow space for that awareness to occur. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. The train will pass by. The boat will sail. The car will continue to drive past that town. You will miss it. So you need to bear witness. It's incredibly important. That's step one. Step two, I think I actually said this, but this is actually step two. Once you know what's happening, and it shows up as overwhelm, anxiety, life crumbling, right? Now, here's a sliding doors moment. Some people may go to the GP and get an antidepressant. No judgment, but that is a sliding doors option for some people. Many people go through that door. No judgment, no criticism. If this is you, this is no judgment. I'm just saying that this is an option. I don't happen to align with that option, but it is an option. It's a coping mechanism. There would be a reason why it is the most highly prescribed medication on the market today is SSRIs, SRNIs, antidepressants, because it's a coping mechanism. It's a way to manage the stuff, right? Ooh, that's big. That's big. So step two is to allow. If you choose that sliding door, is allow. Allow where possible. Create some space. Create a lot of space if you can. We all have different circumstances. You may need to be bold and be brave and actually change some living arrangements. You may need to leave a job situation. Creating space will show up in many different forms, and it may not be ideal, it may not seem ideal, may feel awkward. Feel into it if it's a big decision, right? But just in the interim, create some space. However that will show up for you, even if it's taking a week off work, just something, right? Create some space so that you're allowed, so that you're actually giving yourself permission to bear witness to what's happening. You can't bear witness to what's happening unless you create space. It's impossible, because what we do is we crowd it out with white noise, with let's just get on with it. Let's just do the thing, stay on the treadmill, go get the medication, whatever, yada, 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 yada. And before you know it, you're coping, but that moment's passed you by. So you never got to listen, tune in, learn the lesson, and get the epiphany moment that is potentially being offered in some way or form. So to create space, we need to release the grip. We need to surrender, even if we don't know what's going to come next. Okay? We don't need to solve everything that day. We don't need to solve anything. As long as we're safe, as long as we can eat, as long as we have shelter, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if we've got base needs met, in some way or form, try to allow space. That would be my recommendation. Actually, it's not my strong recommendation. What am I talking about? It is an option. This is an option. It's an option that I chose. And from that, I learned, I have some learnings. I've learned some lessons which I'm able to share. Okay. point number 3, write this down. Trust. Become the observer. Right? In the beginning, I was literally putting myself outside my bubble to look in. But what was really interesting is because I allowed the goo so much, that was just happening automatically. It's really quite surreal. It's still happening. Sometimes I wake up and I'm literally watching myself. It's like, what's going on here? Am I here? Am I there? It's like a partnership with another aspect of self. It's kind of really sparked my curiosity. It's kind of fun. Oh, beautiful Peter. Peter's really hearing it. She's hearing this. Yeah, well done, Peter. I'm so glad. Beautiful. Yeah, autocorrect strikes again. Don't worry about that, Kath. It's all good. Okay. Oh, the cooks, the chooks, crooks. All good. Alrighty, so step 3, please. Trust, become the observer, watch your own story unfold. Life often whispers before it shouts. I've said this before. And then in some way or form, I didn't listen in the past. This time I got to listen because I allowed the space. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to hear. I could hear some elements, but not in its full capacity of what was being offered for me to learn. Okay. All right. So here's the bigger picture. Here's the big picture, the takeaway. Now, there's many aspects of this whole 4 months that I'm going to be sharing and threading through different trainings here and there where they're relevant. Maybe reflecting back to this or talking about that and mirroring this because it's relevant. But the big picture and the big purpose here is like, honestly, our life is a miracle and it can literally pass us by if we don't stop and listen when we need to. Like, we kind of need both. We need structure to achieve goals and to continue on and to have that safety and security and that rhythm. But we also need to pause and bear witness and listen to obtain, to hear what's being offered on a bigger capacity. Okay? Because health is more than just physical. Okay? It's emotional, it's environmental, it's about the nervous system, it's about your purpose. It's spiritual. Health is so many aspects. If you actually look at health and you can draw a line to all those elements. If it was only physical, well, then there'd be a protocol for this and a protocol for that and a protocol for something else. And everyone would do that. Everyone who had XYZ would do that protocol and get better. That's actually not the case. That doesn't happen. Okay? There's so much more to health and healing and understanding more and more about your body to be your own best advocate for your health and wellness. There's so much more. And whenever we're up here more and less in here, I feel that we're missing many aspects of what we're actually here for. Anyway, getting into a bit of philosophy now, so I won't go there too much. But it's just all related to health. It's kind of really interesting. Like, we can't just, it's not linear. If we don't just go, oh, okay, health's here, we're going to go, boo, just like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, and after 3 months, I'm going to hit the goal, woohoo! It's not as simple as that. It's a kaleidoscope. It's 3-dimensional. There's many different aspects and elements, and sometimes it's about looking into the past as well. Okay? All right, so it's about learning how to hear yourself again, and then take those learnings as literally an element or a lesson for you to evolve with, push the boundaries on, explore, get curious. All right? So, what's next? I'm doing my master's. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a breakdown of what's coming up, just a little hint. So officially relaunched today. The Thyroid Restoration Roadmap is open. We actually we're changing it. Okay, what I mean by we're changing it, the actual Thyroid Restoration Roadmap serves a beautiful purpose. It helps clients increase their awareness, and some of my clients are here tonight, and they're picking up what I'm putting down. They get it. I'm not saying you don't get. We all get it. Um, but what we're going to do is we're going to have three different options, which is going to make things more flexible. Okay. So basically, what also came through is rather than me orchestrating that, okay, you've got to do this, we're going to create a more flexible situation where really the ownership is back to you. Because when I work with clients, it's partnership. So why shouldn't that partnership begin before the beginning? Okay, so we're going to work out together in the very initial, I think I'll call it a discovery call at the moment. We're going to work out what level is best for you. Not like, okay, you either do this or you don't do this. What is best for you? How can we make it work in the best capacity for you if that's what you're wanting to do? Okay, I'm not talking about splitting it all up. There's literally going to be three entry points. Okay, so that's exciting. So just getting more flexible. So if you resonate with anything that I've shared tonight and you're on your thyroid journey and you'd like to understand more and you'd potentially like to work with a naturopath as a mentor as well, slash health coach, I'm a naturopath first and foremost, but my consultations are kind of consultations. Some are more formal and some are more, mentorship, because we work in partnership. So if this is something that you're interested in or you'd just like to have a conversation, you can just type flexible. There's absolutely no pressure. Like I'm not here like this. I'm here to serve, and if this aligns with you, I'm all for it. If it doesn't align with you after our call, that's absolutely fine as well. Okay, so I feel like I wanted to have some more flexible options. Okay, so we've got three now. So if you're watching the replay or if you're here tonight and you'd like to explore this over the next 4 to 6 months, type flexible. All right, that being said, and we'll tell you more about that as time unfolds. This is my first live back, so I'm just giving you a little bit of a hint of what's coming up. One final thought before we close. Oh, and we're on the hour. Sorry, Shell. We're on the hour. I said half an hour tops. Okay. This is actually about giving yourself permission. All right? If you're on the brink of burnout, or if you feel like you're in overwhelm, or you're clouded and you don't know where to go, but you do know that it's affecting your health, the biggest takeaway I'd like you to get from tonight's free live is permission. Give yourself permission to just take a beat, take a step back, and just feel into your body. Maybe you could do a meditation to help you with that. Another way is to ground. Get yourself as close to the ground and earth as possible. Put your hand on your heart and breathe. Your breath is your life force. It's your vitality. It is what actually is part of your autonomic nervous system. We often don't tune into our breath because it's automatic. But imagine if you tuned in. So this is just some tips for you to come into your body and listen more to your body as opposed to your mind. Okay? Practice makes perfect with that one because we are conditioned to follow this one, not this one. Okay? Give yourself permission to listen. Give yourself permission to pause. Give yourself permission to become someone new, a new version of you in your evolution, and for you to bear witness to that, because that's truly special. You know, we're all here to serve in some way or form. Give yourself permission to tune in and listen and allow that space. Alrighty. And that's it. That's all I'm going to share tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, it's really amazing to be back in this space. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you all more. I really hope you've gotten something out of this. If you're watching the replay, I would love it if you type replay just so that I know that you've watched it and you've acknowledged this. I also welcome any questions and any comments. And have a beautiful evening. And yeah, I'm looking forward to stepping back into this space more. And I'm excited about that. So that's it from me. Oh, Shell, beautiful, flexible. Yep, we're getting flexible, Shell, that's for sure. And Peter, fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing more about that. And have a beautiful evening. That's it from me. Mwah. Bye for now.